It's showtime.
Hey people of the interwebs, it is Q with another scuba diving adventure. It is Sunday morning, 7:30, I'm running a little bit late, 13 degrees outside, and I have the kayak on top of the car. Heading down to Caloundra once again, going to do a kayak dive with Wildcat divers. And today I might even get the chance to try out the new dive site at the end of Bell Street. We'll find out when I get down to the coast. So here we are again at the end of Bell Street. Hopefully it's third time lucky. Before we take the kayaks off the car, we're actually going to take a walk down a pathway and check out the conditions. So right on the water's edge, this little bit of a wreck that we can see peeking out of the sand is the wreckage of the SS Dicky, and that's why this is called Dicky Beach. We are at the end of Bell Street. We are going out here today on our kayaks. Those waves, even though they're rolling in quite rapidly, will be quite easy to get through on our kayaks, and we'll head out probably about 400-500 meters, drop an anchor and see what we can find. Getting the kayaks and the gear to the shoreline is a bit of a relay event, but between the three of us it's not too bad. Steve was diving on twin tanks in a side mount configuration, and Gordon and I were diving on the standard single tank attached to a BCD. With kayak diving, it's vitally important to make sure everything is attached to the kayak. Nothing can be tucked in somewhere in the hopes that it's going to stay there, because if that thing rolls over, you're going to lose it, that's for sure. Once everything was stowed, attached and checked, we headed off into the water. The waves weren't too big, and this particular beach is quite handy because it stays shallow for quite a fair distance out, which allows us to get past most of the breaking waves and then still be able to easily hop onto the kayaks. Once Steve and Gordon were safely away, I paddled out to join them. We ended up paddling out around about the 700-800 meter mark. It's very difficult to be precise when you're looking at it from the surface back to the beach. Each kayak is equipped with its own anchor, but with the surface conditions being the way they were, nice and smooth, we just dropped the one anchor over and then tethered the other two kayaks to the anchored kayak. Looking over the side, it was easy to see the visibility was absolutely fantastic. I just couldn't wait to get into that water. Once we're on site, the first thing we do is inflate the BCD and throw it overboard, making sure it's tethered to the kayak. Then, put on your fins and your mask and throw yourself overboard. Swim around to your BCD, put it on the surface, detach from the kayak, and deflate the BC. Generally, we drop down the anchor line as a group, but with the visibility being as good as it was quite easy for us to see each other from quite a distance. We dropped into 5.9 meters of water, which is 19.3 feet. Whilst we were on the surface, Gordon had told me that he'd dropped his muck stick, but with the visibility being as good as it was an easy job to swim over and locate it for him. Once he had everything firmly attached, we headed to the anchor line, which is our rendezvous point on any kayak dive. For two reasons. One, it is something that every diver can find from the surface by following the anchor line down. And number two, we always want to do a visual check of the anchor to make sure it is secure and those kayaks are going to be where we expect them to be when we finish our dive. With everybody good to go, we took a heading and set off in search of adventure. Gordon was the first to spot something interesting while he was looking underneath the overhangs. He spotted this little shrimp. Unfortunately, this was the very best shot I could get of it. It simply had a great hidey hole and wasn't coming out no matter what we did. Spurred on by such an exciting find early on in the dive, we continued to look under crevices and into nooks and crannies. And one thing I noticed about this particular site, we've never dived here before, the variety was absolutely amazing. Lots and lots of different hard and soft corals, sea urchins, feather stars, sea fans, and pretty much all of them right close together, such as this example here. On this dive, that once again it was good to see that we were joined by our fishy security detail, the goatfish. They swam with us, hoping to pick up a morsel or two if we disturbed any sediment for them. I did see a lot of these bivalves on this dive, and these are fascinating in the fact that they're really quite small, but they do a lot to clean up the ocean. They're also quite sensitive. This one decided to close just by me blowing out my air bubbles. There were also some cute sea stars, the size of this one compared to my finger. And of course the ever-present brown sea stars. Now we all know that it's illegal to go fishing while you've got scuba gear on, but Gordon is one of those guys that just likes to break the rules. As there wasn't too much fish life in this particular dive location, we decided to pass the time and play a little bit of frisbee along the way. Most of the fish we did see were quite small. These guys are about the size of the palm of your hand, and they were quite happily grazing away on the algae. After 41 minutes, we decided to hit the surface. Our max depth on this dive was 7 meters, which is 23 feet. The water temperature was a very comfortable 21 degrees Celsius, which is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Visibility, I would estimate, at a minimum 14 meters, sometimes as much as 16 or maybe 18 meters. If you've enjoyed today's scuba diving adventures with Q, please leave a like and subscribe to see future videos. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. As soon as I see them, I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.